what I believe is missing in the world right now is people really leading from an authentic place, from truly using their true voice and leading from a place that is inspiring others instead of conforming. And it is, I'm so incredibly like pumped and passionate about helping other people to see that it's like, stop dimming your light.
Welcome, beautiful souls, to Say Yes to Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Tessa Lynn Auburn, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. This is the space where we empower women like you to connect deeply with your soul, to shine in your business, and live a life filled with purpose and joy. Whether you're seeking to embrace your inner brilliance, cultivate meaningful connections, or be generously compensated for the unique gifts you bring to the world, you've come to the right place. As we navigate the busyness of the new year, we'll explore how to honor the dark, restful days of winter and use them as an opportunity for soulful reflection and renewal. So get cozy, get present, and let's journey together into the season of transformation. Hello there. Today, my friend and colleague who is here to share some beautiful pieces from her life and her journey. Her name is Wendy Paige Sterling, and she is a soul alignment coach who empowers her clients to rediscover their soul's essence by connecting with them and their intuition and their authentic connection. And that's what that soul essence is all about, the authentic connection. She's a sought-after speaker and two-time international best-selling author. And Wendy's been featured on shows like NBC, Good Day LA, and Daily Blast Live. She specializes in helping spiritually aware clients tap into their I can voice and fosters innovation and meaningful relationships, helps them to do that. She has a no-nonsense coaching style, and she enables her clients to disrupt their industries, embrace their challenges, and lead with bold, authentic visions. And I'm really happy that she's here today. Wendy, welcome to Say Yes to Your Soul.
Thank you, Tessa. It's so wonderful to see you again, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I was thinking about you the other day. I can't remember what came across, something came across in my email, some tragic event. And I thought, oh yeah, and I was thinking about you, and we had a conversation a little bit about, something that you went through last year over on Maui. And when we were talking about all that, I just really got that, you're a person of real substance. And you're also very observant, like you really pay attention to what's going on around you. And so I'd like to open up the floor here today so that you can share your story. And I know, this disruptor piece, so some of my ladies might be like, I'm not really a disruptor, but, there are ways I think all of us can be a little bit disrupting to what the so-called norm is out there for the betterment of all. So feel free, go ahead and take it away, Wendy.
Yeah, I have been a disruptor since the day I was born. And it's it's a part of me that has always been there. She was pretty disruptive as a little girl, up until, that moment that we get silenced because we are told that we're supposed to act and be a certain way. And, when I was growing up, my nickname was Monkey because I was all over the place and I was into everything and I was curious and I didn't walk, I ran. And my parents didn't quite know what to do with me. Not in a bad way, but more just because my family had immigrated to this country. I come from two sides of Holocaust survivors. And so coming to America, it was all about fitting in, living the dream, and being American. And apparently I was not living into the typical, cute little girl who's supposed to sit, be pretty, nod, and agree with everybody else and not have her own opinion to stand out. And so from very early on, I I was always getting into trouble because that's just who I was. And, I always had an opinion. And, I also was incredibly intuitive as a little girl. And all of that pretty much got shut down when I started seeing my family react in negative ways. I would start getting into trouble, and I started to essentially realize that I wasn't being the version of Wendy that everyone saw me to be. And so I immediately started becoming a people pleaser and seeking external validation for my behaviors and my actions, and, started living into the version of Wendy that my family saw, wanted me to be.
Yeah, that sounds really, so typical, right? I think of so many women who are raised with expectations. The family has certain expectations of the right kind of behavior. So we're going to unpack this just a little bit here. And you have the added piece, not only of just like being a girl who was full of curiosity and who was naturally a disruptor, you had also the piece around being an immigrant. And that whole intensity around needing to belong. And I meet so many women who have struggled with that and go through those things. And well, personally, I was born in the US and thankfully, and however, I was also moved around a lot. So I have a little bit of understanding of that personally. But when you're coming from another country, there's so much at stake, right? It's the not just the job and that the parents are concerned about and the well-being, but it's like bigger problems that are really running things. And so having a girl be the so-called monkey that was not controllable must have been really unnerving for them. And so what kinds of things would happen as a result of that?
Yeah, I am the younger of two daughters. So I have an older sister who I always joke, like, she didn't really set the stage for me because she obeyed and she did as she was told. And, then there was me. So I would get into trouble. Like, that's just what would happen. I would get into trouble. I would be grounded. I would be, I acted out because I was trying to stand in my power as a little girl. But ultimately, you get to a point in time where you start thinking that your family doesn't like you, doesn't approve of you, and you start, I remember this moment where I remember the moment that it shifted for me, and it actually happened for me in middle school. And I remember because it was during, middle school was, I feel like middle school is awful for me. I don't know that my boys have had that same experience growing up, but when I was a little girl, middle school was awful. And I remember I didn't feel accepted at home. I didn't feel accepted at school. And I didn't know how to feel accepted at school by the girls that I was in class with. And so I remember that the only place that I knew how to be accepted was in the reflection that I was getting back from my family. And so that's what I leaned into, and that's what I started doing. And I became that version of myself, or I became the version of myself that they saw me to be. And for me, that felt safe, and it felt, I have a fear of abandonment, right? Of, people will leave if I act out. People will not accept me. And so my worth started being attached to other people's opinions of me. And so as long as I knew that they had a positive opinion, I felt worthy.
That makes a lot of sense. And the pressure of the fear of abandonment, it's really big, right? Like it can bring up feelings of fear of annihilation almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I don't fit in, like there's a really big price to pay. But I'm really curious, like what did you have to do? Because you had this big spirit, you were like wanting to stand in your power. What was the way that you convinced yourself to follow the family?
Oh, to follow the family. Well, I mean, it ultimately was, I love my family. I have a great relationship with my family, and, may my grandparents rest in peace. But my grandmother very much ruled with an iron fist. She ruled using money. Money was a weapon for my grandmother. And, it was always this fear of I would be disowned. That's how money played out in my family, that if I didn't do as I was told, that I would be disowned. And I love my family. I was like, I don't want to be disowned. Who's going to be my family if we get disowned? And so there was always this undercurrent of I will, it's abandonment, right? It's like, but I remember many, many times where my grandmother, would threaten my mom, who would then pass that along to me, or I would be witness to these conversations where it was like, to the down to the detail of, my family. It was like, you marry a doctor, you marry a lawyer. My sister married the doctor, I married the lawyer, right? So it was like they had this box already determined. They had this outcome already determined for my sister and me. And it was like, okay, I got to stay in this box, because if I don't, like, I will be by myself, and I won't, like, and it felt so awkward to me. Like, I don't think I've ever really felt comfortable in my own skin until I was in my 40s, when I finally realized that it's like, oh, wait, I can still be myself and not be abandoned, and know my self-worth and feel like I belong and people accept me. Like, that's a thing.
How did that come about? How did that awareness start creeping in, or was it like a sudden thing?
It was, I mean, is anything ever not sudden? The universe and God work in mysterious yet not mysterious ways. I mean, it literally happened 8 years ago, was really when the entire facade of my life came crashing down around me, when I realized that my husband of 15 years was having an affair with a colleague. And it was literally in that moment that my intuition came back in. It was like, are you done now? It is enough. Wake up. Get in the driver's seat. It is time for you to start taking charge of your life and to stop living through the eyes of what other people want you to think your life looks like. And it was really, I haven't stopped listening to my intuition since that day. It's gotten stronger. My connection to God has gotten stronger. My connection to my spirit guides, my angels, now my mom who's passed on, it is all strengthened because I've chosen to be, own, live, and just live my truth, which is I am a highly intuitive, high achieving, entrepreneurial, amazing human who is here with a bigger mission and calling in her life. And it's not to, stay married to the lawyer and have the 2.2 kids and the white picket fence and the American dream. That I've always been somebody who is here to disrupt, who is here to shake things up, who is here to be a leader and to show other women like me what is possible when you allow your intuition, your soul to lead your life instead of allowing other people to tell you why you're here. And I haven't stopped listening since. And I honestly have never been happier or had more, meaning in my life than I do today.
Fantastic. So I'd like to circle back to some things around intuition in a moment. But first, one of the questions that started to percolate in my mind while you were talking is about what you see in the world today needs disrupting. What are some of those main things that you just will not be quiet about?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And I'm so glad that you asked that. So for me, it's really about the disruption is really about creating your own tables and inviting other people like you to sit at them instead of morphing into who it is that you're expected to be by joining other people's tables, right? So I believe whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in corporate, whatever it is career-wise that you are doing, I believe that what is missing in corporate is this. I know we're going to get to intuition, but it all links up because that's just part of my messaging. But
of course,
I really believe that what is missing is intuition is missing in our ability to stand up in our leadership across the board. Intuition it's that quiet voice. It is that inner wisdom that is really guiding you into your highest and best. And so what I believe is missing in the world right now is people really leading from an authentic place, from truly using their true voice and leading from a place that is inspiring others instead of conforming. And it is, I'm so incredibly like pumped and passionate about helping other people to see that it's like, stop dimming your light. How many times over the course of, the 40 plus years of my life have I dimmed it? And in those moments, so many missed experiences and opportunities. And it's about shining as bright as you were meant to shine being here on this planet. And, in order for us to truly be disruptive in how we show up, it really takes a certain level of courage and vulnerability for us to be the leaders and to inspire others so that we're in this together instead of feeling like, the weight of the world is on our shoulders, which it's not. But if you're not standing up, if you're not standing in your power of your ability to disrupt, like, what is it that you are doing? Like, how authentically are you leading your life? How happy are you really? How much
those are
meaning do
great
you
questions.
have?
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, because if somebody isn't leaning into that, then they're ignoring parts of their soul. They're ignoring parts of
Exactly.
their truth, or it's just, they're in patterns that are closing them off to them.
Right.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And I was just going to say one other thing. And I think that, for a lot of women who perhaps are in more male dominated industries, right? I think that is like a whole other layer of challenge because we're in these industries that are ruled by logic and structure and analyzing things versus, intuition is like, it's more fluid, right? It's like a whole other level of intelligence that hasn't necessarily, it doesn't come with its own set of guarantees per se. And so, I just think that it's a hidden superpower that we have that a lot of people aren't tapping into at this point, and it's a game changer.
It is a game changer. And so for say some of your clients in the professional realm,
Yep.
What are some of the things that have opened up for them as they've been using their intuition in leadership?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about using their voice, right? So remembering that their voice matters and that they have a right to be heard. With some of them, it's been as, if you want to call it like on one side of the spectrum, it's really about trusting that you're in that room for a reason, right? Building that level of confidence that you have a right to have a seat at the table, right? So
Yes.
that comes with anchoring in your worth and your value and to not be afraid to speak up, right? So that's kind of on one side. On the other side, I mean, it's come from people, quitting jobs and creating, a consulting business where they're able to go out and actually speak and do the role that they wanted to do, but couldn't within the confines of the industry that they've been in, or they've dared to do it differently and are achieving so much more success. I think the discomfort in sort of the standing out is uncomfortable at first, but what ultimately it has to do with is like, there's an uncertainty surrounding that you don't have control over. But when you're leading from that authentic, intuitive place, the certainty is in that. It is 100% in your other senses. It's not always going to be in the vision, seeing exactly what it is, but it's in that trust.
You may not see the path right before you,
Exactly.
But when you're into your intuition, it gets revealed in the next moment and the next moment. And I love that. I love that you connect intuition with certainty. It's so true. That's beautiful.
It is. And it inspires others to follow, right? Like when you show up in the like most authentic, your soul's essence, your true alignment, people notice because you're giving off this energy that people are like, I want what she's having, right? Like
Where did she, yeah, I think people say things like, how did she get to be so courageous, or what doing is inspiring. But what I'm doing is not like, for me, for example, the things that I do aren't necessarily like outrageous or things that other people have never done ever, but in the moment, in the combination or the way that one does it, that's where the magic is. And I think that is part of what makes it inspiring. People are like, how did that even happen? I wouldn't even have thought of that, right?
exactly.
New ideas, new opportunities, all kinds of things.
Well, innovation, right?
Yes, totally.
When have we done that before, right? Like that's the space where innovation lives. That's the space where, visioning, when you show up that way, you're giving other people permission to vision, to innovate, to dream, to, step into their own leadership. And that is so much of what I feel like is missing. And it's a big part of my mission and how I want other women to show up, because it's a lost art that we all have access to, right? We're all born with this. It's just a matter of the practicing, right? It's like you can't just go to the gym once and be like, I am like rock hard abs and I'm good for life. Like, it's a practice. You got to work at it every day.
Yes, work at it and keep it up.
Yeah.
And really learn the distinction, what's in intuition and what isn't. There's a lot to learn about it, but it comes from that daily practice and application of it, not just practicing like at home in your morning meditation or something. Yeah. So I am curious about just some of your ways that you started practicing and listening to your intuition. Would you be willing to share those?
Oh my gosh, of course. To be honest, it's really simple, you guys. And it really starts with giving yourself pausing moments, gifting yourself silence. And it's whatever works for you in those moments, right? So for me, silence and pauses come when I'm in the shower, when I'm on the treadmill running, when I'm taking a walk with my dog in nature, when I'm sitting down and listening to meditation music while I'm journaling. The way that you tap into your intuition is enabling you to silence the loud noise, because the noise is not your intuition speaking to you. It is your ego. It is it is fear. It is fear that is the loudness. And you've got to create a space for yourself, however that looks, to create the silence so that you can hear your intuition, which is a whisper. It is a whisper. Yes. It is calm. It has a certainty attached to it. Instead of it being like, oh my God, what are you doing? Holy crap, what is stop, status quo, status
That's
quo.
wrong, you're going to, yeah.
Right. Versus like, you've got this. You know exactly what to do. There's times where I'm in that space where my intuition is my connection to God. That is how God and my guides and my angels speak to me as well. So in order to open up that space, to open up that connection, you've got to get into the quiet, into the whisper, and just hear it. And if you're not giving yourself those moments, then the connection can't happen. I am a type A controlling person. Like my personality type, I am a controlling analyzer. I'm always in my head, you guys. Like always. This is literally it is an everyday practice for me to practice pausing, to practice gifting myself with moments of silence so that I can tap into that. I am highly intuitive. I am highly intuitive for my clients. I see, hear, sense, taste. Like I have like all the clairs, and I'm able to tap into that for my clients. And it's because I am able to get myself into that silent space to be able to tap in and to hear. And so I'm able to support and help my clients to do the same. But ultimately, the secret sauce is literally creating moments of silence and pause for yourself and getting to know your body's sensations as it relates to when your intuition is speaking to you. It's not coming from your head. It's coming from somewhere in your body that is not your mind. And so for all of my clients, it's different for everybody. I've got some clients who feel it in their chest, in their heart, in their stomach. Like, it's different for all of us. I know the two places where my intuition starts speaking to me versus when it's fear. And so it's really learning and connecting with the different bodily sensations and learning to lead from those places instead of defaulting into your status quo of, the ego and your fear.
I love that. And I also like that you gave a bit of a distinction there, because we tend to say we listen to our intuition, right? But it may not be a voice, like where you hear words. Some people have that. You probably do. You have many of the Claires. I have that, but not everybody has that. So people might see an image flash across their mind or have a sensation in their body. Ultimately, though, I think it does come through the body. Body's really fantastic for helping to process that information and decipher it. But there are many ways to receive intuition. And when we're using the term hear, we're really talking about being open to hearing, to knowing your intuition in whatever form it's coming to you.
Right. And Tessa, if I may may I add one more thing to this?
Of course.
So what I also get asked a lot is, well, how do you know what's instinct versus intuition, right? And the one thing that I will say about instincts matter in life or death situations, okay? Like that has nothing to do with this moment, right? But instinct feels similar to fear in that it is it is more reactive instead of it being like a settling feeling, right? So instinct typically is rooted in survival. It is a survival mechanism, right? And intuition is a whisper, and it feels very grounded and it feels very patient. Instinct is going to be something that is going to be like shouting out at you, like warning, 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 like stay safe.
Yes, run
right?
now. Yes, questions later.
Exactly. So there's also a difference in that, because I also hear a lot of people will say, well, my instinct said, and it's like, but that's not your intuition, right? Or like, oh, my head was like, yeah, well, that's your ego, right? So it's like, well, what did your body tell you in that moment? Oh, that here, like on the list of like priorities, it's always the not even thought of or the last one thought of.
It's completely overridden. It's ignored. Like, yes.
It's the first one you hear, but you ignore it. It's the first one you hear and you ignore it. You hear the other two real loud, and then you go back to the first one, and then you start allowing 2 and 3 to completely, talk you out of it. So that's the cycle.
That's great. I love that you've identified that cycle. And I want to add, when you were talking about intuition, I know for me, like what it feels like for me when I'm having intuition, it's kind of like, like there's oh, that's kind of cool. Like, or oh, that's interesting. It's not like run for my life, Get out of there. Smack that person in the face. Like, no, it's none of those things, right? That's just crazy. The crazy radar that we all could really use a lot of practice bringing that in, reeling it in so we can access the intuition that's there with us at all times, which is really amazing.
It is.
So Wendy, thank you so much for all that you're sharing here. And I want to make sure that everybody knows how they can reach you, where they can find you. So could you please go ahead and fill them in?
Yeah, well, I would love for you guys to tune into my podcast that Tessa's going to be on as well. It's called The Power in the Pause. You can find it on any and all podcast platforms. And then my website, wendypagesterling.com. I've got lots of amazing, great resources, including ones that can help additionally support you in unlocking your intuition. And then social media at Wendy Paige Sterling, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. I mean, it's like we have to be on everything these days. So, so that's where you guys can find me. Tessa, thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. And I'm so grateful our paths crossed.
Oh, you're welcome. I am so grateful as well. Thanks to our mutual friend, Kat Pulcinelli. And You also have a free gift for them, of course, and we'll have that link. It's a disruption gift.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
my disruptor blueprint. So it is going to enable each of you to discover and know what your disruptor self is, who she is. And it's really about remembering. It's not that it's a discovery of something new. It's always been inside of you. So it's going to help you to get deeper connected to that version of you so you can start living your life authentically.
Nice. Have a little reunion
Yes.
with yourself.
Yes, I love that.
Wendy, thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time. And I truly look forward to when we have another conversation on Power of the Pause.
Me too.
And that's PAUSE, not PAWS, just in case you're wondering.
Yes, thank you.
All right, ladies. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. And give a little listen inside. Where have I maybe not been living authentically? What's one little thing that I could do to start bringing out my truth a little bit more? All right, that's it for now. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye and light and love. Thank you for joining me on this soul-nourishing journey today. I hope you're feeling inspired to embrace the stillness of the winter season, connect with your inner wisdom, and allow space for your soul to rest and regenerate. Remember, the darkness of winter is not something to fear or to rush through. It's a powerful time for growth, for healing, and for accessing divine guidance. Before you go, I'd love to invite you to take a moment to reflect on today's episode and perhaps explore the meditation I've created just for you. It's designed to help you connect with the angelic realms and invite love and guidance into your life. You can find it at sayyestoyoursoulpodcast.com/multiverse meditation. And I'll also link it in the show notes for you. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review and share it with someone you think might benefit from this message. You deserve to say yes to your soul, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, take a deep breath, honor the quiet, and trust that the universe is working in your favor. Stay present, stay connected, and most of all, stay true to you.